Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Nestle International Youth Day 2020. My name is Ben Ibrahim, and I'll be your friendly moderator for this afternoon. Now, today is very short, sweet, and simple because that's what learning is all about, and inspirational at the same time. And to tell us more about our event today, the man right next to me, I would now like to invite Mr. Juan Arenol, CEO of Nestle Malaysia, to answer some very interesting questions about our exciting event today. So Juan, hola, and welcome to our show.
Thank you.
The first question, very much, please tell us more about today's webinar for International Youth Day, and also why is it important to Nestle?
Yeah. Well, firstly, happy International Youth Day, everybody. I think August 12th is always a very important day to celebrate youth and also to discuss how we can support new generations to get more into the world of work. No? We will talk about employment opportunities, but we will also talk about employability. No? What we will be sharing today is a number of initiatives that we have to upskill you, to give you the experiences, the opportunities that will help you to succeed in the work of labor when you will be joining it. It's an important topic today because we know that we are in strange times, the times of COVID. Many companies are struggling, and many of you probably will find also more difficult to find that first entry into the job market. We know that unemployment is increasing in Malaysia. About youth unemployment is around 11% already. We know that about 30% of the jobs that have been lost throughout this crisis impact young people below 30. And we at Nestle Malaysia are very committed to being part of this solution. What we will be talking to you and sharing with you today is a number of initiatives in the context of the Nestle Needs Youth program, that it's a global initiative that I will talk about in more detail later. And it's also very well aligned with the ambition of the government, with the Ministry of Youth and the Decade Ini, Decade Anda. So we are very excited at the opportunity to talk to all of you today.
Well, can you share with us more about the Nestle needs for the youth initiative?
So Nestle Needs Youth is a program, it's a global program. It started around 2010, 2011, and actually started in Europe. In Europe, some of you may know that youth unemployment is a big issue. In Malaysia, it's 11%, but I tell you, in some countries in Europe, including my home country, Spain, it's 30, 40%, or even more, in some moments in time. And at the time, it was thought that maybe Nestle, given the large reach and presence that we have across many countries, we could do more to support youth and create initiatives that help in this employability to kind of support the entrance into the work market. In Malaysia, we are also have been doing our initiatives in the context of this program. We have, some of you may have heard about the Nescafe Youth Entrepreneurship that started back in 2015. And actually, it's a very interesting program because it gives those who join it the opportunity to run their own business with a kit that Nestle provides in terms of how to sell coffee and through a kiosk. We have been had like 5,000 participants in this program since its inception. They have sold around 1 million cups of coffee, which is a lot. It's a lot of hard work to achieve that, and that initiative certainly will continue. We have also initiatives like the Nestle Professional Chefs, Young Chefs training program, which has given skills and capabilities to many people interested in become the next big chef over the last few years. Around 6,000 people has already gone through that program. Beyond these initiatives that are driven by some businesses or brands, we also have a management trainee program. So every year we have joining our ranks 30 to 40 people. They join us for a journey of 2 years in which they are exposed to different parts of the organization, and at the end of that program, if successful, then they kind of are integrated in regular jobs. No? We also have plenty of opportunities for internships, apprenticeships, and we are really very, very happy. This is a great way for us to bring new energy into the organization and to facilitate all of you to kind of experience firsthand what joining a company feels like.
Now, Juan, you also said it's a very challenging year for obvious reasons. How else will Nestle be supporting youth this year?
Actually, we felt that in the current context, it was important to scale up these opportunities. Yep. So what we will do is basically provide more opportunities to kind of join any of these opportunities. Our Nescafe Youth Entrepreneurship Program will continue, so many other initiatives, but we will work also in providing an increased number of short experiences that, beyond providing some income, can also help in providing the skills that young people need to integrate in the work market. No? So we will have, for instance, a virtual internship program, which is quite innovative. So we will be assigning specific projects to those joining, and through that, they will be able to drive a specific project, get the coaching from the team. Throughout the duration of 1 to 2 months, they will be paid for that, because obviously we expect this to kind of solve specific challenges. And that could be a new program that can be of interest for some of you. We'll be paying, I think, 1,000 ringgit. Nice. And actually, the application is starting today. So if any of you wants to learn more, please feel free to engage. I think you will be getting more information through the session. We will have more management trainees. Normally we hire 30 to 40 every year. Probably this year we will go 60 to 70. Wow. And actually that's a very kind of demanding program, because really we are looking for a bit the best of the best, so people that really can make a real contribution. But those of you interested, if you we have a little bit of a strict selection process, but it's a great opportunity to experience the company throughout different areas, and hopefully at the end getting a regular job at Nestle. In addition to this, for sure, we'll be looking also at increasing the number of direct hires that we do for our factories, for our distribution centers, in sales. We will be targeting also the B40, the people that maybe has a little bit more challenges and is struggling more in these difficult times. So we are very excited. I think that, if we can make it happen, also can be maybe an inspiration for other companies to follow. So we are looking forward to welcome many of you.
Well, looking forward, and it's some very exciting times indeed, even though challenging times, exciting times right here at Nestle. So thank you very much, Juan, for sharing that. There's some very exciting upcoming opportunities, which Juan just said, and to find out more about those opportunities, look out at the Nestle Malaysia career and social media sites. Those who are keen on the Nestle Virtual Internship Program, don't forget to deposit your resume right here on Graduate Live. But right now, everyone, we're just going to take a short break, but don't go away. Shortly, we'll be coming back with our first topic of today with some very, very talented and esteemed speakers. The topic is careers in times of COVID. We'll see you soon. Welcome back, everyone, to our very, very interesting session, our first session as part of the Nestle International Youth Day. For those of you who are just joining us, my name is Ben Ibrahim, and I'll be your friendly moderator for this afternoon, and hope you're well wherever you are around the world. Now, our topic is a very interesting one that you can all relate to, career in times of COVID. Now, many of you have been going through some very, very sensitive times, not just for yourselves, but you and your families. Some of you are really just trying to keep your career on track, and that's what we're here to answer with our expert panel. I've got the easy job. I just ask the questions. They have to answer the questions. So don't worry. As I always say, it's a coffee shop conversation. Okay, so we're not going to talk about numbers, about charts, about PowerPoint decks or Microsoft Excel spreadsheets. We're just going to be talking about you, people, and how you good people can keep your good careers on track. So I'm just going to introduce the panel very simply, one by one, without trying to embarrass them too much. They're already embarrassed, that's why they're smiling and laughing, and their faces are extremely red, even though they've got a very nice tan about them. So the wonderful lady on my left is Ng Su Yen, who was a very, very talented Nestle individual who is the head of Milo at the moment, a very, very great brand, but a brand that comes with much, much responsibility. And she's been with Nestle for about 16 years, and her background is studying a Bachelor of Business Administration at UTS University in Sydney, and then a Master's postgraduate study in Marketing at the University of New South Wales. So two very good universities, and she's a very talented and qualified individual who speaks really, really well. So Suyen, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And the lovely lady on my left as well is Dato Hamida, very, very famous. I went up to her about 5 minutes ago offline. We've never met, but I just said to her, I know you really, really well because I follow you on Instagram. Okay? And she was like blushing more. Okay? Once upon a time, an LLB, okay? Which is legal practice. She wanted to be a lawyer, but because she's more of a people person, the HR calling was too good to resist. And she's been in HR for a long time and really answering some very tough questions every day in terms of HR and in her place of work, which is the CIMB. And she's the Chief People Officer. Now that title sounds extremely glamorous, but I'm sure at times it's dealing with some very, very tough issues, especially in this time of COVID, and we'll get back to you, Dato, about that very, very shortly. And the only gentleman on the panel, I like to think I'm an aspiring gentleman, but that's Mr. Shazmi Ali, the Country HR Director of Shell Malaysia, also another HR person all the way. He studied HR at UUM, and then after that he did an MBA while working, which is not an easy thing to do. So a lack of sleep, a lot of coffee, a lot of early mornings. I think he's like remembering the days when he had to write an essay or do his exams, and also meet his work deadlines as well. He's worked for Pfizer for 7 years, and he's been with Shell for the last 2 years, and he has plenty of stories to tell inside the Shell and outside the Shell as well. So Shazmi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
The lovely lady on my far left, a good friend, Nada Marie. What can I say about Nada? She's my neighbor, she's my friend, and we worked together for a very, very long time. For those of you who are familiar with Graduate Aspire, Nada and her brother Nabil and mother are very much the DNA of Graduan, and every year they put on some cracking events every year for young people, not just to get a job, but to start a career. That's what Graduan is all about. Graduan, aspire. You aspire to something bigger and better than yourself. So Nada, once upon a time, did not think about joining this business. She studied at Monash in Melbourne, wanted to focus probably on business and marketing at that time, but at the same time she felt the responsibility to carry through the legacy of what her and her family started, and she's doing a very fantastic job because Graduate Aspire, once upon a time a publication, now very much everything on digital. So ladies and gentlemen, okay, welcome to our panel. Let's get straight into the questions. Suyen, you've been with Nestle for about 15, 16 years, head of the Milo business, which is not an easy job. A lot of people think it's glamorous, chocolate, sweet and everything, but you have to answer some very tough questions every day. What part about the organization makes you want to stay? Because you're extremely qualified, but you're wearing your heart on your sleeve, literally with the Milo shirt.
Of course,
you know, where's that passion and drive come from?
Well, I think at the end of the day, for me, Nestle has always been my go-to company. I mean, since during my education time as well. And, you know, being able to step foot into Nestle allowed me to open not just a wealth of experience, but open my eyes to a lot of experiences throughout my career.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of times people want to join a company because it's famous, it's highbrow,
that's right.
etc. But it's not the case. I mean, it's not just the case, but Nestle is a very, I would say, a company that grooms you very well, right? It gives you a lot of opportunities, whether you're a junior member or a senior member. It's never a dull moment in Nestle.
Okay.
And you learn throughout your career, and that's my aspiration because I need to learn and also contribute wherever possible in any kind of position.
Okay.
So, and Nestle allows you to do so. And one also great thing about Nestle is that it allows you to also experience different fields.
Okay.
Right? Even though you may be an engineer, but you could be a marketeer next.
True.
So it's a never-ending learning journey within Nestle.
Now let's talk about learning. You know what? One thing that I learned about learning is before you start a semi-serious conversation, you always have a light conversation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to U-turn, which is a very Malaysian term, and retract a bit and ask you a very, very tough technical question. For lunch every day, is it char kway teow or nasi lemak?
Both.
Both. Okay. How about in the banking industry? What do people like to eat in terms of to break the day? Because you're always so busy.
I think it's both too.
Both. Come on, there must
Really
be something
both,
else on the
and-
menu.
And with a cup of Milo.
Cup of Milo.
Sometimes if you are, really, really caught up with time, a bowl of hot Maggi mee.
So there's a learning curve right there. That's a great relationship building tip right there. How about upstream and downstream people, which is your very oil and gas language, by the way. How about oil and gas people? Because the reason I ask this question is not trying to be funny, because you know what? Whether we work in banking, oil and gas, FMCG, or careers advice, Malaysians are about 3 Fs: food, finance, and family. Okay, you work hard to put food on the table so the family can come together and cari makan every day. And that's why we're here. That's the essence of the topic, careers in times of COVID. So COVID or not, you got to put food on the table. So Nestle people like both, with a touch of Milo. How about oil and gas people, especially working on the rigs?
It'll probably be both. But also a lot more than nasi lemak and char kway teow. We like diversity in our food, just like we like diversity in our life.
Right.
But since Datuk mentioned Milo, I'll mention Nescafe.
Nescafe. Okay, you gotta stay away from this. Okay, I think there's some good Nestle freebies
But
after
actually,
this.
people in Shell drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah,
So-
but can you give notion to the myth? I heard this story once upon a time that on the rigs they do go fishing for their dinner and lunch.
No,
How
no,
true?
no.
How far away? How is that fact or fiction?
The best buffet you can get in Malaysia is on the oil rig.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Really?
not that they go fishing.
Right.
We put a nice, sumptuous spread on the table.
Okay, but the rig is a place to fish for career skills opportunity, right, Nada?
Yes.
Okay,
It's
so
not
na-
safe enough to do that. So we
Sorry?
won't allow it.
Okay, say everything in oil and gas is about she, not the females. Safety, health, and environment. So Nada, what about the the graduate
Actually
people?
stole my answer, so because I start every day with coffee.
Coffee.
So I need my Nescafe
Okay.
every single day. So I would go with Nescafe and char kway teow.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot then, Nada.
Okay.
If there's no coffee,
Yeah,
okay, and there's nothing sweet in the kitchen
yeah.
of the graduate office, which is in Ampang,
Yes.
okay, and all the shops are closed
Yes.
because of COVID-19, what's your survival instincts telling you? How you get the fix, stay healthy, and save a few dollars at the same time?
I would drink water and do my work. Because when you focus on your work, sometimes you get lost in it and you don't need these other things to actually, push you through. So if you're really focused and you're enjoying what you do, I think that can power you through the day as well.
Okay, and that's why Nada didn't stay in marketing. She went through with graduate all the way. So everybody, let's give all of you a big round of applause. That's very good. Not easy to think off your feet. Okay, people say always think on your feet. But speaking of thinking on your feet, Suyen, I mean, how does Nestle engage and empower the youth to become better professionals? I know it's a bit of a feel-good question, but it's the hardest thing in the world to do, especially young people who have massive expectations.
Yeah, I have to say that Nestle is one place that is a great platform to educate and to give opportunities to the young generation. I think the management is not shy to empower the newcomers or the new joiners with key projects. And I'm not saying just photocopying or whatever. I mean, key projects, like big projects. For example, for Nestle, we are embarking on this whole sustainability journey, and we actually tasked very young individuals to form a task force to actually power through and give their ideas on sustainability. So they call themselves the Green Gladiators, and they actually go out there and present to the management, and they are getting the work done. And these are very young, bright individuals.
Right.
So I think that is what keeps the youth in Nestle motivated and empowered.
Right. It's very, very interesting, and like using the color green. It's a very powerful color, that one.
Yeah.
Because these studies have shown that colors are very, very impactful in terms of connection with youth. Now, Dato', people talk about adapting new skills all the time. You know, in times of crisis, improve your skills. Go back to study to do an MBA, just what Shazmi did, you know, or further study. But it's not that easy, especially now with universities having a lot of restrictions about what you can study, where you can study. You can only study it online. What are in your opinion, what are some of the essential skills set in terms of becoming successful that people often don't talk about? You know? People always talk about upskilling, but what about the other areas?
So probably we'll do a little bit of give a little bit of context to the type of skills first that we need, and
Please.
that's given in today's not just COVID. I think with this fourth IR, right, there is a need to have the digital skills, the data skills, the design thinking skills. But these are just the technical skills.
So you said that. Say that again. Data skills, design,
Digital skills.
digital, all D's.
Yes.
Okay.
So we call it 3D.
Okay, 3D.
So exactly.
Very creative.
Yes.
3D for the C, for CIMB.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So, but seriously, that's how we go about. So we go around now to make sure that everyone is kind of like 3D certified. So we
No,
have
write that
lots.
down.
So we have lots of actually the whole learning curriculum laid down there for them to help them prepare, all right, and equip themselves, upskill themselves with the necessary skills. Because like it or not, these are the skills that you need to survive. But those are just the technical skills. So if you talk about the non-technical skills, having those skills are necessary. But in order to excel and in order to really do well, it is about also having problem-solving skills. Today, things can be quite complex, right? The ability to navigate through the complexity, solve problems, think out of the box. Because new ways of doing things, you will have new solutions will also give rise to new problems. So how do you then solve those problems? Okay, think out of the box, be resilient, you know, and how you can be agile, as you say, you know, not just thinking on the feet, but thinking off the feet. So if you are disrupted, right, how do you react and all that? Because you must be ready for that disruption. It can hit you anytime. Like this pandemic, it just hit you. And what happened? Overnight, we just have to be agile. So if we were just focusing on just the technical skills, we would not have been able to survive. But it's funny, you know, human beings, and when you're forced to it, pushed to one corner, you just have to react. So I think these are what we want to see more, you know, in order for us
it sounds very much like, Dato', you're talking about being a mini entrepreneur in a business unit. You know, so that's what the resilience and guile and toughness. I mean, anybody can have skills and qualifications, but if you're not tough or don't want to be tough, then it's going to be a very tough battle. But let's rewind the history books a little bit and go forward at the same time. You've been with CIMB for quite some time, but you still look as young as Nada and Suyen and my very young niece.
I'll treat you to a cup of Milo afterwards.
Okay, which is, I can get a discount after this, by the way. So, but all jokes aside, times have changed.
Right.
I was just explaining to my daughter a couple of days ago, we didn't have, I mean, I'm in my early 40s, we didn't have digital. Thank you. Sorry. I dyed my hair, I think. But everything was television, print, radio. You had to go to the library. Now everything you can get on your phone. So that has changed the behaviors and the attitudes of many, many people. One of the attitudes that is affected is retention. Okay, once upon a time, when people graduated from university, regardless of the generations, I want to work in Shell. I want to work in a bank. And I want to work with a top-notch FMCG. And it was usually the leagues of Nestle, FNN, and other great fast-moving consumer goods companies as well. And they would try to stay there for their whole career. Get an increment, get promoted, become a V, P, C, E, or an O. Okay? And not in that particular order. But times are different now. And can you tell us how that mindset has changed, why that mindset has changed, and how do you adapt to those mindsets every day in terms of keeping people, skillful and talented people, in a job to do a job very, very well, for as long as it can be?
Well, I'll start by just saying that today, the way we work has changed so much. The way we live has also changed so much.
Live, right?
Yeah,
true.
isn't it? You can just, everything is just can be at a press of a button. A lot of things, you know, your alarm clock will ring and everything else, you know, you're just, the life is organized for you. So many things have changed, isn't it? You can online, you do your online shopping and all that. Those days, you're right, you will still have to go to the shop yourself, you know, choose and all that. But today you can actually do everything all automated. It's so different. So the way we live, you have no choice. It just pushes you to do things differently.
Right.
So what was your question again?
Sorry, no, in terms of that, you've just talked about the evolution, in
Right.
terms of how people have changed. People can grab, people can order everything online.
So
but how does it affect the
the
work?
traditional HR has also changed. So those
Yes.
days, as you said, you know, permanent people will come in and they expect a permanent employment. All right, as you said, no, they can spend a long time there, right until they retire.
Which is not a bad thing. Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing, but today, even the HR ways of, today we are looking at alternative employment, right? We are even looking at part-timers, we are looking at all this
Gig
agents,
economy,
yes, gig economy, you know, so freelancer. So as I said, the way we work and all that has changed. So people are moving. If what it used to be, I would say it's about 80% permanent and 20% part-time, is going to gradually shift. You will see that shift. And in a way it is good because it gives people actually, you are kind of like in charge of your career, in charge of what you want to do, in charge of what you think interests you, and in charge of something that you can add value to. Right. And you can have that diversity as what you mentioned, and not just stick to just one company in a sense for a long time.
But do you think, sorry, as a subset question to that, because you mentioned something very interesting, do you think that our Malaysian culture will allow part-timers, freelancers? I mean, our culture, once upon a time, it's either tetap or nothing. Tetap meaning a permanent job, you know? And that was the mindset. But like you just said, people like, you know, you are open now to freelancers and part-timers, which is great for the bank. But how about the workforce ecosystem in general? Are they ready for that change?
I think you're seeing a shift already.
Okay.
You
Big
know?
shift or not so big shift?
Starting to see a shift, and it is getting bigger. I think if anything, COVID would have accelerated that. You know, you see the youngsters now doing a lot of startups. And all that,
Yes.
Right. You know, I mean, look at her. Instead of joining a bank or what, she joined a mother. So you know, so things have actually changed. You are seeing the shift, and I think it is really happening, and happening even faster now. It would have been accelerated, as I said, by COVID.
Okay, nice. Thanks for sharing that, and it's really interesting that both of you have really gone to the depths of the human mind, which is very hard to quantify and qualify. But you know, when you've met as many people as both of you have, a bona fide opinion is very much solidified. So Shazmi, you also have a very bona fide opinion. And when I mentioned you in your introduction about, you know, going back to school, doing that MBA, you were like, oh my God, you know, those times I was struggling and everything. But you've been there, done that in terms of doing some further study while trying to work. In the time of crisis, and let's not just think about COVID, let's think about the Asian financial crisis, the subprimes, September 11th. You know, that's almost 4 crises in the last 23 years, okay, or 24, I'm not that good at maths. But would you recommend, like in today's person out there who is struggling and battling a little bit to get ahead, would you recommend to go back to studies during this time to improve one skill set?
I think
What's your view on it?
I think if we look at things realistically, it depends on and in all honesty, depends on the individual's financial background. Not all of us have the luxury of not working, not supporting the family, and just doing full-time studies. So if you come from that background where you feel I finished my bachelor's, let's say in the UK, Pharma sponsored me that program and they can sponsor another couple of years, and you can't find a job, maybe it makes sense. But a lot of us, and I was in that same position, that when I graduated, I knew that my dad was post-retirement, he was working on a long-term contract kind of thing. So working was the first thing that you need to do. And when I graduated in '99, it was the height of the Asian financial crisis. I had a scholarship with a bank, and my life was kind of sad. 5 years with the bank, 1 year assignment in Singapore, and all that.
Not easy to get a scholarship. Yeah.
But all that went down the drain when the financial crisis happened, because they just couldn't offer me a job. So I had to find whatever I can get. And I think it builds you, it makes you more resilient, I think, to the point that Amira was saying. With all the changes that are happening, you cannot prepare for tomorrow, because I think a lot of us don't know what tomorrow looks like.
Right.
But as long as you know if you fall down and you know how to pick yourself up, then tomorrow will always look good for you.
But in terms of, well answered question by the way, but in terms of specifics, if our youth is tuning in right now, if you said to them, with the benefit of hindsight, experience and everything like that, if you had to go back to school, would you go back to a very specific technical course, the 3Ds that Dato mentioned, or would you do a very generic MBA, master's, leadership course? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, it's cost. These things are expensive.
Yeah.
Not everybody can afford it. What's your recommendation to them, especially now?
So in the 90s and early 2000s, I think MBA was the go-to postgraduate program to go to. I think if I had to redo it all over again, I'll go for a professional certification.
Right.
Something that focuses on data or digital or something along those, because I know that's what more in demand.
Right.
Having an MBA today not necessarily gets you to the interview door, but a professional certification in data scientist program that, as a recruiter, someone will take a second look at the resume.
Right, nice. And just staying with you on this point, graduates from the class of this year, 2020, begin their careers in the pandemic. They'll always remember this year, not because of the year they graduated, the year that everybody wore a mask, the year that everybody took off a mask, the year that everybody took a temperature, scanned the My Sejahtera wherever they went. What advice would you give these young Malaysians and graduates that are struggling in the job hunting process during these very tough times? Apart from being tough and resilient and never giving up, which is a given, what's your advice to them?
Look at things in a different perspective, right? You don't need to join, and I'm not saying don't join CIMB, or you don't need to join CIMB or Shell for that matter, or Nestle. There are a lot more other opportunities out there that they need to open themselves up to. Today, youth starting up a coffee shop is so widely accepted, and it's a cool thing to do. While when probably we graduated, you want to get to the shelves of the world. So the opportunities are there. Look at the variety of gig platforms that are out there that they can also participate themselves in. So do not be confined to what mom and dad say that, oh, you graduated, you got to get this job and blah, 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 because things are different. In a way, it's challenging, but in 99, when I came out, you only have that traditional route of getting a job. Mm-hmm. Now, if you don't get that, you have so many different ample opportunities. You have sessions like this, which in my time we didn't have. So it's challenging, but it's not impossible. And I think with COVID, I also feel today you can be based out of Malaysia and work for a company in the UK. Right. As long as you are connected digitally or virtually, as long as you can connect virtually, you can do any role you want. And those are the kind of opportunities that are amazing to have, but you have to grab it.
Right. So really good points that you share with us. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for not sticking, all three of you, not sticking within the cliches of staying tough, don't give up, work hard, da 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 da. You've given the audience some very tangible things to look for, the 3D, in terms of looking internally, and also looking at other options in terms of digital as well. So Nada, you very much sell all this.
Yes.
Not just with these three industries, but other industries as well. That's what Graduate Aspire is all about. Now, Graduate Aspire is basically, apart from digital publication, is an events business. Yeah. You have very successful events in the UK, Australia, and also, of course, Graduate Aspire every year, which you and I are associated with, because I get to MC a really cool event every year and meet some very cool people like these three wonderful individuals here. But how have you had to change the way you do business in terms of COVID?
I think what we did was that we innovated. We took advantage of technology. So we created these live sessions where, candidates or aspiring, these graduates who get to enter organizations, have a little virtual tour, and they get to engage directly with employers. So using that same context, we hope that youth today would actually follow through with that, where if they're trying to look for a job and there has been some difficulty or challenges, that they should also innovate. Look for other ways to actually inspire themselves. For example, if they do want to go by the traditional route later on, but within that time, that if you're looking for something, if it takes a year or two, or even a year and a half, so during that time, they need to fill themselves with different activities, whether take part in the gig economy or whether they can upskill themselves. There's a lot of things that they can actually do to find their passion, so that they grow holistically instead of just waiting and trying, because sometimes you create your own opportunities as well. So when listening to the other panelists, I realized that it's true that you get to navigate your own career path these days. So instead of just flowing with what's happening, take advantage of it. I think that would be my advice for graduates. Yeah.
And final question before we keep it to a talking heads questions. Well, I'll ask the panel the same question really, and then we'll just get their opinion on it before we go to the questions. I must admit, everyone out there, the questions are coming in thick and fast. So thank you very much. We've got here A.S. Azhar, Amino Nazim, Fariha Nizam, just to mention a few. So please keep those questions coming. Inshallah, I will try to get through as many of those questions as possible, but if I don't, blame me and I'll follow up for you on your behalf. Okay, on behalf of graduate as well. So Nada, in terms of, that's really good stuff that you're doing right there, but any other cool stuff that you can tell our audience about in terms of how Graduate is trying to be different, be relevant, and also, most importantly, connect with the talents out there?
We are now trying to increase our base, speak to more graduates. So that's possible with technology. Because everything is online, we can reach more people faster. And with our relationship with our employer partners, so this is the best way for them and us to actually mentor the youth, whether it's through conventional or non-conventional jobs these days. Because we feel that this would be the best way to actually help them grow, especially throughout the pandemic. So we do a lot of virtual boot camps nowadays. So we are also launching some mentorship activities that will be coming up soon. This, I feel, would help everyone be more engaged, connected, and also achieve whatever that they're trying to do.
I'm going to give you a breather right there. I'm not going to ask you to keep talking, but Shazmi, I'm going to start with you now and work our way down to the panel. Same question, I will come back to you. But we always talk about a positive attitude, a positive mindset. And it differs from industry to industry because each industry is so different in terms of technical skill, jargon, language, and in terms of expectations. So when I say to you, the panel, a positive attitude, what does that mean and look like in your industry? Okay, Shazmi, I'll start with you.
I think the ability to go to net zero carbon, and that's what we are looking at in Shell. And in fact, every opportunity we have today is try to see how we can get more involved in the electrification business. Because as an organization, we want to be known as an energy organization, and a lot of our investment is moving towards greener, cleaner energy. Okay. And that's what we are looking at.
Okay. So you sell the science internally, yes?
Sell the science and also acquire technology from experts out there, because we don't have the answers to everything.
Okay. I thought you already have the 3D. That's quite scientific as it is. What does the positive attitude look like in CIMB?
I think the other positive attitude that we need to have
in an individual and a group of people, that is.
Yeah, but okay, I mean, banks is given. Yeah, we want to, of course, in all industry, we want to make sure we meet our financial performance and all that. But I think we need to actually, this positive, I will extend it to see what we can do for the community. Because I feel that if the organization as an organization, yes, if we do well, we are able to, get around this COVID and still perform. But if the community around us are still suffering, then I don't think we suffer. We are prospering. So in order to prosper, we need to make sure that our staff are well taken care of. The well-being. We are, especially with this pandemic, we show care for them. And likewise for our customers, we listen to them, their needs and all that, and the community. I think this is what that comes out, So, so as a firm, what we have gone out there, and especially through foundation, is to, we were able to rally everyone together to go out and help the B40, the needy people, the daily wage earners. And that I thought was something very, very positive, because if anything, this COVID, I feel, has been a wake-up call to all of us. We take a lot of things for granted. So to see everyone coming together, putting their energy together to see what they can actually do to help the unfortunate is the positive thing that I feel is happening now.
Okay, so we've got community, we've got science. What's the Nestle way? What are the leaders preaching every day or communicating every day to their staff on how to be positive?
Positive, in Nestle, positivity is really to be more agile in the times of need today. And similarly, like what Dato mentioned, is really ensuring that our internal people, our customers, and our consumers as well are taken care of as well. We are food and beverage manufacturers, right? So we must make sure that they are all taken care of. The shelves are stocked so that they can buy their products, their Milo or Nescafe or their Maggi, and also for the safety of our people as well. The people who are manufacturing these products in the factories are also well taken care of, and also for the environment as well. So it's all aspects. So in Nestle, we always say, enhancing for a greater future, right? So to make sure that we do the right things for the future of society.
So if someone were to say, what does that word, Suyan, what does that word agile mean? What would you say to them?
Being able to react in according to the times of need, and also to what consumers and our customers and our people want.
Very customer focused right there. Yeah. Very nice one. Nada?
Yes.
What about yourself? Positivity,
to look
in your industry, in your company, of course.
For me, it would be to look for opportunity for yourself and also for others, because we link talents with jobs, basically, and jobs change lives. So to create that opportunity, or to work with our employers to create more opportunity for our talents out there, and to always look for things that they can actually improve themselves or contribute back, whether it's in a social enterprise or whether it's in the corporate world. It's always to look out to see that one day things will get better, so you need to get yourselves ready and get your community ready together with you.
Let's talk about change, which is probably the hardest thing in the world to do, but everybody wants a positive change right now, which is a bit challenging, but we are all persevering and being agile at the same time. Dato, I will start with you on this one, because you mentioned earlier in the conversation about tech and how tech has changed HR. HR is not like the good old days of personnel, you would look up in a book and say, you have 4 days leave left, so please take it before the end of the year. That's more shared services now, everything's outsourced, HR is different. Now, someone once told me the TV set would never replace the phone, or the internet will never replace the TV set, and there'll be no such thing as phone, and there'll be no such thing as virtual. Your thoughts on that?
And who told you that?
I won't mention his name.
Don't get any more advice from that person.
It cannot be from CIMB,
He will hunt me down, okay?
The person using a phone now.
What's that?
Is the person
He's using multiple phones. Okay.
Yeah, so things have, like you said about HR, how are we doing things differently? Yes, those days it is so administrative, You check on your leave balance and all, and how much your pay, is it credited and all that. Today, HR is about using data analytics. And when we use data analytics, we understand the behaviors of our people better. And when we understand the behaviors of our people better, we can come up with better people strategies, or rather, what I say, policies. So for example, just a quick example, is that when we were doing some, studying some trends, of why are the youths, and this will be the male youths, all right, taking emergency leave, every now and then on certain days. And then when we actually use data analytics to actually deep dive a lot into it, actually many of them were, or rather a big percentage of them, were actually helping out their other halves. When they have, when they welcome a new arrival of their addition to the family. So So I actually realized that they could do with more paternity leave because it wasn't sufficient.
Okay.
All right. So when you use all this data analytics, so what we then did was, so I spoke to my CEO then, who is today the finance minister. So he was very supportive of our HR strategies. So I told him that, I said, look, it is a pattern, and then it can be quite disruptive if they suddenly take emergency leave and all that, you know. Then they take one day, then rush off, and then 2 days later they come back again, and then they rush off again. So let's give them a paternity leave. So we announced first one month paternity leave.
1 month.
1 month for the male employees,
Yeah,
for
apply
those who
for
are the first-time father. And that's because it's their first time
Yes.
to it, and they needed a little bit more time to learn, and not to bond with the child, to help their wife and all that.
True.
And it went down so well. So this is how things have changed. When I say the way we work, you know, the way we live has changed. And using that, so this 3D that I'm talking about, data analytics, you can study the trend, you can predict the behaviors, you can actually go into what's a flight risk. So it helps you to make more informed decisions, and therefore you can come up with more effective people strategies.
No, that's a great story. I mean, people always talk about big data all the time, and that's a classic example on how to use the numbers to make a decision. So well done, CIMB. Shazmi, anything to share on that in terms of tech and change?
I think, so I won't use an example on data, I think, but what we have seen completely change is from being the strict disciplinarian that HR is always associated with, the headmaster, the prefect. I think now we are the agents of care and engagement, and that's what we thrive on. So I think the COVID is a classic example where we have seen so many new engagement programs that HR has done for people who are working from home to make sure they're engaged, they're connected, you know, mentally they're still well, and like holistically things are better for them. And I think 15 years from now, 15 years ago, people would have said, you're given a job and you're getting paid, just do it. But now it's completely different. It's showing that element of care and really, really caring for an employee as though they are one of your own family member. And I think that has significantly changed.
Nice.
And for a lot of the youth, you know, a lot of times we say, oh, as an employers, we choose the candidates. But a lot of times candidates choose the employers as well.
Yeah.
And for them, they would rather go for an organization that has shown genuine care, that is empathetic, and also very flexible to their staff. So it's in a way, it's a two-way street.
Right. Nana, I know you don't have a HR graduate, but you are the HR person, you are the marketing person, you are the business person. How about graduate in terms of change, and because you guys are all about change now?
Yes, we're very big on change, and how we actually support employers with, you know, having more data is actually we do this Gradam Brand Awards, where it's not really an awards, but it's more of a research where we have an employee study where we understand from youth today what makes them stay in an organization, how long do they stay, why do they stay, why do they choose the organization, like Shazmi, you were saying. So these, you know, this data might seem raw, but it actually does allow employers to strategize or re-strategize to understand the target market better, because it allows employers to understand what drives, you know, the team together. And so we feel that using this data and study of, you know, all this analysis would actually really help the employer market in total.
Thanks very much for that, Nada. I mean, for those of you who are wondering why I just did a funny face while Nada was talking, I wasn't trying to be rude. Someone in the back, just like TV, said I have 10 minutes left. Time flies when you're asking some very interesting questions and having fun. And on that note, I'm going to drop my last question and go to our lovely audience. Thank you to our audience for engaging with us and for being so patient. Again, anybody can put their hand up and take answering this. All of you can. I mean, one of you, it doesn't matter. You know how the drill works. Now, the first question came from A.S. Azhar. His question is, in the view of the pandemic and limited job opportunities out there, because it's all about skill set, isn't it? Do you meet the skill set or not? You know, a manager, you have to have a number of experience. A graduate, you have to have a CGPA, and so forth and so forth. I mean, we answered this question just now, but I do have to give A.S. Azhar some justice, because he's asking quickly, what's the quickest way to upskill yourself in terms of getting a quick certification or getting a quick skill so they can really shine that in a job recruitment opportunity? Because recruitment is not just about interviews, it's about assessments. You know, and those assessments are pretty tough, I must add. You know, the Shell Assessment Center, the CIMB interviews, the management trainee program. This is not easy, and graduate, you make it hard, you make it tough, but you communicate it very well. So well done. So, you know, in terms of Azhar's question, so Yan, do you want to answer that question first?
I think there's so many opportunities or platforms that you can upskill yourself, right? I mean, a lot of e-learning tools and tutorials, TED Talks, etc., etc.
TED Talks, yeah?
Yeah, I mean,
that's
there's
a good
so many, and quick bites, because I know that the youth these days as well want something fast so that they can learn. These are the, I think, go-to places to upskill yourself.
Yeah.
So it's accessible any time of the day. You know, just sign up to free platforms and you know, just learn from them.
Right.
A lot of experiences as well. A lot of people share their experiences there too.
Okay. Now, I'm sorry if I was being rude. I didn't go to you about the change question because, you know, I was thinking about 10 minutes, and 10 minutes is not a lot of time, so I do apologize about that. But in terms of, I want to ask you about change. In terms of, like you said, you know, being different, you know, those TED Talks and everything. Would you, in terms of, would you give a younger version of yourself that same advice? If you were a fresh graduate in COVID, going for interviews and opportunities, I mean, you've got no Nestle experience, you've got no Milo experience, all you've got is your UNSW and UTS qualification.
Yes, definitely yes, because I think today, qualifications aside, you need to also be with the times as well, and a lot of things are changing.
Right.
So you need to also upgrade yourself, and what you learn in textbooks may not be applicable today as well.
Okay.
So you need to go with the times and you know, of course, you know, go to the resources that are available out there. A lot of good experiences.
Okay.
by
Okay.
people.
So you give yourself that
I'll
particular.
give my
So that's the change part according to Nestle. Yeah. So that's all in terms of, you know, in terms of Azhar's question.
Well, I'll just build on what Suyan has said, and it will be, I think graduates today should not be picky and should not be choosy.
Pause there. Say that again, please.
Graduates today should not be picky or choosy. Whatever that comes your way, I think you should just take it on first, because whatever that you do, there will always be some learning that comes with it. And I'm speaking from experience from, yes, you mentioned a lot about crisis. Let me tell you, COVID is not the only crisis that you're going to see. There's going to be more crises to come, okay? This won't be your last one, all right? Now, and when I started way back, I don't know whether you have heard, Pen-L crisis, for example, those days, the graduates were unemployed. And we were then in the banking, industry, we were told we have to actually then give them some employment opportunities, and it was just a small amount of money at about like $700 per month for graduates. They were not picky, they were not choosy, you have no choice. But you know, crisis will pass. What is important, like what you say, learn from it, okay? You know, every crisis that you've been through, the Barings, the Enron, Asian Financial, you learn from it, right? And then, you know, we strengthen the risk framework, we strengthen the regulations, the legislation. That's how we learn, you know, but it will pass. But what is important is don't be picky, don't be choosy. Whatever that comes along, even if it is a small job, whatever, you will still learn. And like what Suyan said, be open to learn. Learning, not wanting to learn is not an excuse now. It's so easy to learn.
Well, if you don't want to learn, nobody's going to hire you. So, yeah. Shazmi?
Just a quick one. So beyond learning, beyond not being picky, the other thing is nowadays it's so easy to network with people.
Yeah.
Almost every single person is on social media, right? You could hit me up on Instagram or LinkedIn and ask a question, and generally I will reply. Right? In the past, if I need access to CHRO or CIMB, I'm never going to get that. I don't even know
you have
who.
to go to Instagram, which is a lot of followers.
Yeah, and I probably don't even know who it is, right? Because there's no company website for me to go and research. I have to check on annual report, etc.
Yeah.
But today, a quick Google search, like, oh, head of HR for Shell Malaysia, Shazmi. Oh, he's got LinkedIn, he got Instagram. Let me just try my luck.
All right. I'll just let you two answer that particular question. For our next question, this was targeted at Nestle, but I do want to also get Graduan's view of this, because Nada Graduan deals with many, many clients across various industries, and again, your opinion, no right or wrong answer. Work-life balance at Nestle, how does that look like? Very demanding industry. You've got 10,000 things to do every day. You think about work on the weekend, you dream about work on the weekend. Work-life balance.
I think for me, at the end of the day, it's the individual's own responsibility. Because I think we have core working hours within Nestle, and we have also, yes, a very demanding thing. But at the end of the day, it's really the individual's own responsibility to make sure that you own your own work-life balance. I mean, it's true because I mean, we have all the tools, we have the resources given in all corporations. But you know, it's also up to you, your own effectiveness, your own prioritization to make sure that you are well balanced.
Nice.
It's true. I mean,
No, it's true. It's the hardest thing in the world to achieve, right?
Yeah,
it's the hardest thing in the world. Yeah, sorry, Shazmi, you want to say something?
So no, I just want to say, I don't believe in work-life balance. Not that I believe that you need to work, because I feel your life is way more important than your work. Right? Your work should be a subset of your life. It can't be equal to your life. Whenever we say work-life balance, it's like the elements are equally important. Work is important, it gives you gratification, put food on the table, don't get me wrong. But one of my regrets in life is I felt, because I worked so hard in my 20s, it passed me by. I should have gone for more dates, I should have had more, I should have done a lot more things that now I can't do, right?
But you're still a cool, slick guy with a jacket and a white top with the guy says 007 candidates, you know, management training program right there.
No, but the point is, I think we talk about work-life balance, and I always feel like, oh, it's like work is equal to life.
Yeah.
Life is a lot more bigger than that. So if you're in your youth, get a job, do well, but don't forget to live your life.
Okay.
Because that's never going to come back.
That question was by Farah Nizam. So can you answer that one for Farah? I mean, Suyan answered it really well.
Suyan mentioned, you need to be disciplined as well. So when you're at work, focus at work and complete your task, give it your all. But it doesn't mean that when you're with your family or when you're at work, everything stops and you just become a robot. No, you need to integrate the two. But it's very much how you control your life. So I feel that I was most productive when I had a lot of things. So I had to be disciplined. I would make time for the gym. I would make time for work. I have my son and my husband, my family. But that's how you navigate your life, and I'm happy. So I think for each individual, they need to look at the day, look at how you can actually capitalize and maximize your time and your attention. And once you're satisfied and you're happy, I think everything else will just flow.
I always like to finish a conversation with a hashtag, so I'm going to finish with 4 hashtags today.
Okay.
4 hashtags meaning 4 key learnings. So Nada, how should young people approach their career? One word.
Opportunity, looking for opportunity.
Okay, Shazmi?
There's always a silver lining.
That's 2 words, but never mind. Okay, okay.
I can go 3 words. Don't be picky.
I love those words. That should be the biggest hashtag of all hashtags. Don't be picky. And Suyan?
Be agile.
Okay, that's a nice one. So everyone, I hope you've enjoyed our session today. That has come to an end. I do apologize on behalf of Graduan that we couldn't answer all the questions, but we will keep in touch. And I know Graduan does a fantastic job there to reach out to you to answer your career questions. Thank you for being with us. Don't go away. We have another question coming up another session coming up very, very shortly, and that's about youth power. So stick with us for that one. But don't go away. After this, you get a chance to participate in the quiz. Participate in that quiz, and then shortly we'll come back with a new panel, and they will, this panel is very energetic, very awesome. That panel, I'm sure, have a big standard to emulate in terms of energy, content, substance, and friendliness and passion. So the key words today: opportunity, silver lining, don't be picky, and be agile. So to our panel of today, for the topic, careers in times of COVID, thank you so much, Dato' Suyan, Shazmi, and Nada. You have been fantastic. Until next time, right here on Gradual. Hello everyone and welcome back to the International Youth Day brought to you by Nestle. My name is Ben Ibrahim, the moderator for today. Earlier we had a very, very good session with a panel of very good people from the line, as I like to call it, marketing, HR, and also the events line. And they answered some very, very good questions about careers in times of COVID. And thank you to all of you out there who tuned in and asked some very good questions. We do apologize to people out there who we didn't get to answer those questions, but Graduan will aspire to get in touch with you and answer all your questions. So keep in touch because the world is very, very small. So thank you once again for that. For those of you who participated in the competition or the quiz earlier, we will reach out to you to let you know in terms of what you've won and who was the winner and all of the above. So thank you so much. So our next topic is the power of potential. As you know, it is International Youth Day and we brought on a very vibrant, youthful panel. The panel before this was quite youthful as well, but this one is extremely young and they're living the ethos of being young, energetic, going out there. And not just, I mean, my generation was about, and the previous generation was about looking for opportunity, but this generation is about creating opportunity. So on my left, we got Ms. Tan Kai Lin from the brand manager of Nestle. Thank you so much for being with us. And then we've got Nurul Zulkifli, founder of Mimpi Kita. And then we've got Mr. Renyi, the only gentleman, apart from myself, I like to think, on this panel. Okay, and previously there was one gentleman, Shazmi, on the panel as well. So Renyi is the co-founder of Burger Lab, and then we've got Jen Chia, who is a content creator. So welcome everyone, thanks for being with us. And just as a little bit of an icebreaker, just to loosen up, just to relax a little bit, can you just tell our lovely audience, in a very simplistic coffee shop fashion, not I studied this, I got a CGPA this, da 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 da. Put that aside, you know, your career background from, you know, your days of aspiring to be a fireman or woman to actually what it was and to where you are today, and so forth and so forth. We'll start with you, Kailin.
My name is Kailin. I'm actually joined Nestle as a management trainee, I think almost 5 years ago. I'm actually quite surprised that, you know, I'm still considered as youth. Nestle told me that youth is under 30, so I guess that's good. I joined Nestle 5 years ago as a management trainee. Now I'm a brand manager in the Milo ready to drink. The whole reason why I joined Nestle is also because I'm always fascinated about, you know, Maggi, Nescafe. So I guess after I graduate, I always wanted to work for brands like this. So yeah, that's why I'm here today.
Nice story. Nurul?
So my story is quite long.
Okay, look at the camera and tell the story.
Hi everyone, I'm the CEO of Mimpi Kita Single Berhad and also the creative director of Mimpi Kita. So yeah, I always wanted to be a teacher and then changed to a doctor.
Wow, very ambitious you are.
But ended up I studied engineering, but at the end I become someone who sells clothes. So yeah.
You have a very multi-talented interest,
Yes.
skill set, and job.
Yeah.
Okay.
But at the end I become something else. But it's a good thing.
But you're happy.
Yeah. I'm happy.
You're living the dream.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. Mimpi Kita, hence no pun intended.
Yes.
So, Renyi, the co-founder of Burger Lab. I'm sure you get a lot of stereotypical questions when you meet people every day.
Yeah, definitely. But to keep it short, and I like the fact that you said, you know, what do we want to be when we were younger? So back in the days, you know, being an Asian kid, you're forced to write that you want to be a lawyer, a scientist, or an engineer, a professional, right? But one profession that I really wanted to write, that I didn't dare write, is to be a clown. And to me, as a child, yes, to be a clown, because as a child, what a clown meant to me was someone that could make someone else happy. It was just that derivation. But as I grew up, I went down the route of being an engineer, you know, same path. But at the end of my degree, I realized that that's not what I wanted to be. And while I was studying, I worked in different restaurants and cafes, and I realized that through serving other people, I found joy in making other people happy by giving them food and good service. And that's how I ended up in the F&B journey.
Right. So you've got a big smile on your face and a big genuine smile too. So you really do like making people happy. Yeah?
Well, I think everyone does. I think every one of us here doing what we do, we in some form make other people happy. Some instantaneously, some through, you know, a process of our service.
Right. No, it's great to see. It's great to see that others like to make other people happy because, it's probably the hardest thing in the world to do, you know, because you got to make yourself happy first, and it's great to see that you are, all of you, are extremely happy. And one person who's also extremely happy is Jen Chia, you know, content creator. Tell us, Jen, about your story to how you became the content creator.
I'm a clown.
You just made us laugh, so well done. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna sum up my ambitions since growing up till now. So I wanted to be an international badminton player, and then it became I wanted to be a teacher, and then from there I thought that, you know, I studied psychology. I wanted to get my master's, do the whole, get my doctors into it. I want to do that, and then I went into video production company. And at the same time, I wanted to make music. And from music, I realized people enjoy watching me be a clown. And that's where I am today, like content creation.
Right,
so that's just kind of like how, like, collectively my experiences have kind of led me to what I'm doing today.
And what kind of content do you produce all the time?
So people know me as someone who does crazy, funny, outrageous content.
Right.
But I also do inspirational stuff. I also do conceptual pieces, and also I think I really enjoy songwriting. So I think music video is something that it's inside of me. I really enjoy doing that as well. So that's just kind of what I do in a nutshell.
Okay, let's just go around the panel. You know, as we go along, we'll get warmed up. There'll be questions coming in. But Kylie, you said, you know, you seem to be doing very well in your career. You've got a passion for, you know, like what you do. And I mean, I don't want to sound cliche, you know, passion, work hard and all those stuff. I mean, that's a given. But you do generally seem like you enjoy what you do. But what would you say are some of the qualities or spirit that, you know, supported you in building a very successful career in a corporate company like Nestle? Because well done to you. Nestle is not an easy company to get into. I mean, they select very smart people, so well done.
I hope we're in that category, but thank you so much.
You are, yeah.
Thank you. I would say a lot of people have stereotypes for corporate, right? Like a lot of things are complex. There are layers of approvals that you need to get. I think some of the qualities that helped me build my career in Nestle is definitely you need to be, maybe sound a bit cliche, but really works. You need to take
avoid the cliches, yeah.
Take charge of your career. But it's really true though, because there are so many people, like even Nestle here, we have almost 10 floors already in this building. You need to kind of like take the initiative to know the people, and also take the initiative to learn new things outside or also inside of your scope of work. So that's one. Second is also need to be very agile in a corporate. When I say agile, it's not like taking shortcuts or like try to do illegal stuff to achieve your final goal, but more like, especially during the pandemic, right? A lot of things changes, and you know, maybe last time we are not that digital savvy and we are not into like digital marketing, but now we need to be in there and also finding new ways to market our products, especially like, you know, for most of the brands in Nestle. So that's one. I think third thing is how to build the career in Nestle is also, I try to expose myself in a lot of extracurricular activities outside of work, because sometimes I feel like we will get consumed by the work in corporate. So what I've done is that I think during early of the time, I actually exposed myself to join a lot of activities out there, you know, especially, you know, maybe Guardian events or even some of the student organization out there. So this is how I kind of like keep myself improve and also build myself in, you know, the Nestle career. Yeah.
Right. And let's talk about, you know, the power of youth.
Correct.
You know, I mean, youth people, or young people, should I say, are very positive. You know, they like to see the brighter side of things. Don't take themselves too seriously. If someone's late, someone's late. You know, they're not gonna, you know, like go all out about it, which is really good. But like some people are not positive. And how do you, in your opinion, no right or wrong answer, how do you build that positivity in a person who is negative, and to try to get them to say, don't take yourself too seriously?
For me, in my opinion,
yes, strictly yours.
I think positivity really comes from like sometimes your family upbringing and also your past experiences. I would say I'm lucky enough. I would say myself or my colleagues would say that I'm quite like a very positive person. I usually try to see the good things out of so many crazy things that's happening. But I would say to build that positivity among people, first you need to surround yourself with people who are positive and people who would help you when you're in trouble, right? But at the same time, besides
hanging out with people who are like-minded, you also need to find people who have different perspectives than you. Because sometimes, let's say if you're in a trouble and you find people who want to complain together with you. I mean, it feels good, right? You find a group of people, then you just complain about your boss or work, right? You just complain, but you need a group of people who give you a different perspective so that you can solve that problem instead of like complaining about it. So I think to build that positivity, I think people is very important. Try to find people who are like-minded and also people who think differently than you. So that's my
that's
my
good
tips.
because like you said, I mean, it can turn out to be a very whingy session.
Correct.
And nobody likes a whinger. Let's be honest, right? You guys don't like whingers, do you?
Yeah.
You know, unless they're giving good feedback
Correct.
about your product. So speaking about product, I mean, Nurul, I mean, like you said, you aspire to do many things, but you studied engineering, right?
Yes, yes.
And then you followed a dream.
Yes.
And maybe that could lead to another dream.
Yeah.
So the question I'm going is, have you always been interested in fashion? And what would you say to people out there in terms of don't plan everything? Because you obviously went from here to here to here to here, and now you're here. Who knows where you could be next?
Yeah, but of course, the upbringing, and also when I grew up, there's not much exposure. All you know is either you want to be a teacher, you want to be an engineer, you want to be an accountant, you want to be a doctor. You know, there's not much exposure.
There's no in
options.
between.
Yeah, no in between. Like it never came into my mind that I'm going to be a fashion designer or own a boutique. But when I studied, of course, I studied my master in accounting in Australia. So, but I failed. I failed all subjects. I never failed in my uni or school, but I failed all subjects of my accounting course. So, but I ended up to study, I took my master in engineering. So during my studies, I tried to work as waitress, I tried to work as at the hotel. So I've tried a lot of things. And along the way, of course, my passion for something, you know, nice. Of course, if you talk about fashion, everyone loves fashion. All girls love fashion. So, but when I was in Australia, I see that Australian, how they love about their local product is so strong. Because when you go to Australia, a lot of brands are all local brands. So if you see all the fashion brands are all theirs. There's no Zara. I don't think I saw like Zara at that time. So yeah, so when I came back, and all I can see in shopping malls are all not our local brand. So if you talk about fashion brand, you will always end up go to Auntie Taylor to make you clothes, right?
Yes.
Or if you talk about Malay brands, like Malay fashion brand, it's either you have to go there and like ask them to make you clothes. There's no like ready to wear a brand in Malaysia at that time. So that's why I wanted to start a brand that is a local Malaysian brand. So
and you took the words out of my mouth, fashion for passion. I mean, I used to interview fashion entrepreneurs when I did an entrepreneur TV show a long time ago, and they all said how tough it was.
yeah,
They wanted to give up. It's so competitive. Everybody's undercutting each other in terms of prices. And this is before COVID.
Yeah.
You know, but what drives you to keep going and say, I'm going to make this work? Is there an end goal that you want to achieve, apart from the profits and the sales and whatnot, the normals, but is there a particular thing that drives you?
Of course, I am the kind of person who not willing to give up. I think everyone has that. And also, you know, you've started this a long time ago, so you're not gonna end this now. You have to like keep moving, and you have so much love. I have so much love to my brand that I'm not willing to give up. That's like, it's a roller coaster ride that it's never ending of like down, 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 and then sometimes you went up and then go down, back again. But I think the drive and the love and the passion for the brand that I built makes me stronger day by day. And the responsibilities, talking about responsibilities, the responsibilities for your staff, for your family, that drives you as well. And also the people who supported you all those years. So you won't let yourself down and other people around you down. So yeah.
And one more question before I turn over to Rennie. I mean, you spoke about love and responsibility. In terms of transactionally, what does that love mean in terms of the unique selling point to consumers out there about your brand?
Okay, Mimpi Kita, when I built Mimpi Kita, it's always about love for the brand, the love for everyone around me. So it feels, when you talk about Mimpi Kita, or the moment you step into Mimpi Kita, you feel the love, the togetherness, the humility, and everything about the good thing. It's how close everyone is in the company, and also how close I am to my customers and how I reach to them. So yeah, that's how I built Mimpi Kita.
And it sounds like that the work is not done. It's a never-ending journey.
Never-ending.
And we'll talk about that with everybody else a bit later. Because that is something that you may achieve success today, but you might not necessarily achieve it tomorrow. But speaking about success, I mean, Rennie, are you able to? I mean, you had a very successful career. I mean, like you said, you've done things before, and then you ventured into this business, which is working out quite well for you. But are you able to pinpoint a moment in your career that youth power really contributed to that business success? It was the difference, even though it's intangible. It was the difference.
I think if you're talking about My Burger Lab, what you will see is that since day one, when we started the business in 2012, it is powered by youth. So this was an accidental find. When we first started the business, we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. We said, okay, we'll figure out the workers as we go. But when we started on July 10, 2012, it happened to be summer holiday for UK students. And at that time, we had a group of friends who were still in uni, and we said, hey, why don't you guys come work with us? And just have fun, right? We didn't think the business was going to be a huge success as it is today. So we got a few friends in, and we just made burgers, had some beer while we cook. I mean, we don't drink beers while we cook now, but back in the days, it was really anything goes, right? So because we were having so much fun and cooking for our customers and serving them, it drew a crowd. I think that energy spilled out from the kitchen onto the floor, onto the food that we serve, and there was just something electrifying about that. And one thing that we didn't expect was that a lot of students, whether they were college students or high school leavers, started applying to work with us. And we said, oh my gosh, there's this endless supply of people who wants to work with us, because we keep hearing horror stories about how in F&B it is very, very difficult to get people to work, especially locals, because there's a stigma that says that if you work in a restaurant, you're either uneducated or you have no choice. And
that's
true.
That's true. And extremely unfair as well.
It is. Yeah. It is. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to re-educate people about, just by making the business sexy and showing that, hey, locals can and want to work in this industry. So what we found was that when that group of people that were young, that were friends, and they had this bond going, the care for their customers, the care for their food was natural. We didn't have to say, hey, you have to do A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3 to get things done. There was a natural need and want to make things good for the customer. And what we did, thankfully, between the three of us partners, we were able to identify those values and convert it into words and what we call culture, what we call values, our missions, our pledge to our customers. And that was how we replicated that. And as long as we replicated that, we realized that the youth continued wanting to be a part of this brand. So I dare say that there is a lot of potential in youth. And when we talk about potential, I think that's the topic of our panel today.
Yeah, definitely.
As an engineer, potential energy means that it's the energy stored in an object, right, in relative to other objects. But
you sound like an engineer already.
Yeah, that is what I studied, right, mechanical engineering.
I'm kidding. Yeah.
But the point here is that a lot of times when we talk about potential of youth, there is a misconception, at least in my opinion, that everybody has potential. I do agree with that, but I think maximum potential comes from going through hardship, going through stress. Because if a spring just sitting on the floor will not bounce up by itself, you need to compress it. And that's where the potential energy is from. And when you release, it bounces and jumps as high as it can. So I think youth is the same. And that's where the power is. So Burger Lab, one of the mission that we have that we don't advertise to people openly is that we see ourselves as a educational platform for youth first, a burger joint second. Because when we train them or teach them about how to be a good person, how to be good to your fellow community, they naturally want to do good, or they naturally want to give good service and good products to their customer. And in that process, they learn how to be a better professional when they graduate out of their degrees and go to their individual professions.
Nice, nice. Now, very well explained, all of you. Well done. Good job so far. The energy, the realism of the stories is absolutely fantastic. Keep that energy going. And we'll come back to the panel, slowly after we talk to Jen, in terms of what I want you to share with our audience in terms of doing things differently in terms of COVID, and energized by the power of youth, whether it came from an energon cube of engineering or teaching or the inspirations around us. But speaking of inspiration, Jen, you are all about inspiring people every day, young, old, or people who babies that are just coming out of stomachs. They're consuming content these days very, very quickly. Yeah. Talk us through your journey and your day in terms of being a content creator. I know, no disrespect, I've had a lot of friends that they want to journey down your path, very competitive, okay, but also a line that, no disrespect, some parents would discourage. Okay, can you talk to us through a bit about that?
So let's tackle two different things. One is how I deal with...
Because you have a very interesting story, yeah.
Not really. Yeah. So I want to talk about how I deal with the public, how they perceive influencers. I think, when someone label me as an influencer, I get really, and I don't know why. And then when I reflect upon it, I realize influencers, they have a specific criteria. They look specific. Yeah, right. So for me, when the public, they label me as an influencer and they see me as that way, I embrace it. I kind of go like, I'm an influencer, so that's why I do this. I will just play up that, and it doesn't really bother me. But when it comes to my clients, for example, especially clients who they come to me and it's the first time working with a content creator or influencer, I take my time to explain. Because when they come to me with like an investment, for me to create a content for their product, I will educate them as to why I am doing this A, B, and C to maximize that investment. So it becomes a very like a serious thing. I'm an agency myself. So that's what the public don't know, and I don't mind them not knowing. So that is more of like the business side. So when it comes to the content creation side, my journey started off like this. So remember I mentioned that I was in a production company. I knew zero. I didn't know what a call sheet was. I didn't know anything. And I remember that it was exciting to see, like behind the scenes there, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people behind the scenes just to make this work. And I just got to say the people behind the scenes, it's actually incredibly exciting and incredibly important. And to be part of that,
incredibly stressful.
Exactly. It is really stressful to perfect, this whole setup. And so I remember being behind the scenes. I love that energy. I acquired some skills, and I've learned to edit online. I learned how to do Final Cut Pro on YouTube, everything. Everything's online right now. Yep. But then when I became a talent in front of the camera, I realized my edge is that I understand the editing part, I understand the lighting part, I understand how to tell a story, and that excited me even more. So that's just kind of how my brand slowly kind of went on and just kind of grew from there.
And how long have you been doing this?
Sorry?
How long have you been doing?
So my first YouTube video was 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But that was, I put my music out there just for fun.
Right.
And so I think the question here then is, when did I see potential? When was that moment when I realized that this is a job? I'm an influencer, I'm a content creator. It was that moment. I've been doing, I quit my job, that production job, and I was doing freelance copywriting for about 6 months. And in between then, I was doing YouTube videos very consistently with zero budget. I just had a camera, I was editing myself and with my partner. So for 4 months in, I got this email, and it was for a food chain. And they said, hey, we have this concept, and we would like to have you feature our brand in your video. And that was the moment that I realized, have I made it? Is this it? Is this how it feels like?
Nice.
And I remember I was elated, I was happy, and that was the moment I realized, hey, I think there's something there. But that moment was not planned. So earlier we were talking about whether you can plan your career, you're doing different things in your life. Sometimes, some people, you can plan your life, but anything can happen. COVID happened, and here we are right now sitting so far apart, anything can happen. And so what I'm trying to say here is my journey, it happened because I didn't plan it, and I just let it be, and I just took that moment, I saw potential and made it work. So that's kind of like my story as to how
On
I've been
that
doing.
story, was it how did you find that? I'm sure there's a lot of people who would come up to you and say, hey, come on, Jen, get a proper job, join a big company, get good benefits, blah, 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 Number one, did you get that? And number two, what said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick on this course, this journey? Because you sound, when you speak about that journey, you sound like a whole new person in terms of passionate and loving what you do every minute of the day.
I love creating.
You do, eh?
I love being creative. We've had a conversation earlier. I'm a very touchy-feely person, and I love ideas. I'm energized by it, and so when I'm so happy doing that, that to me is success. Because people equate success to perhaps having a big car, big house, big whatever. But for me, it's that happiness of creating something. It's something that money cannot buy. I mean, sometimes money can buy. If I budget, I can do so many things. Yeah. But still, when you actually, coming back to potential energy, if you mentioned, actually creativity, when you have constraints, you become more creative. And that's something I noticed that a lot of people don't see. Like all this kind of mental journey that I go through, understanding, oh, okay, this is how I create my videos and stuff like that. A lot of people don't see it, and so I'm really glad that I get to share this with you guys. So when people just say get a real job, for me it's like I'm living the dream. I get to wake up every day and be creative and be happy, and to me that is success, and to me that is living life.
Right.
So, yeah.
Can I just jump into this a little
No,
bit?
no. I was about to ask you something anyway, but go ahead.
Yeah, so and when it comes to influencers, we deal with influencers a fair bit. And we see someone like Jen, who I personally feel that is sincerely creating content because she enjoys that process. And in that process of her creating to give to the world freely without thinking, hey, I'm going to make my first million or whatever, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I want all the free shit in the world. Sorry, pardon the language. I think that sincerity, people can feel it through her content. And that's where brands want to work with, someone like her. Day in, day out, we get a lot of influencers who are seeing the end product of where she is and say, hey, I want to be like Jen. And I'm going to go out there and approach as many businesses or as many restaurants as possible and say, hey, I'm going to do a review for you guys, and I have this much followers, but it doesn't feel sincere. So I think being an influencer, to me, for the majority of it, those that are successful come from a point where they are creating purely out of joy, purely out of their own satisfaction. And when people can align with that, or they resonate with that, or they vibe with that, that's where true following comes. You can see her fan base are very different from the fan base of some other influencers. And that's where the difference are. When someone is sincere on making people happy by making themselves happy too.
Right. Now, I'm just going to jumble up the questions a little bit because in the spirit of time, we just do want to get through everything. And the questions are coming in thick and fast. So, very much so, I mean, you raised some issue, but Jen, in terms of being different in these times of, sorry, not Jen, sorry, Kailin. Yep. Jen will come back to you very shortly. I was thinking about your answer just now. It was very, very inspirational. But, I mean, very much, Kailin, being different in this very tough time. What's your advice to the young people out there, whether they're trying to start an opportunity or look for an opportunity?
I mean, this one's more personal or more?
It is your personal,
Okay.
please. I mean, again, no right or wrong answer.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess because when you're in corporate, a lot of people would say that, you know, like what Jen mentioned, right? When there's a lot of restriction, you need to be creative, and that applies to not just me. Like personally, I need to adapt to the work that we have planned. And then when COVID-19 hits, I would say marketing plan changed 360, and we are working from home. And the thing about marketing is that you need to meet people and you need to discuss and be
You're
creative.
energized
right?
by people as
Correct.
well. Yeah.
And marketing, we are more the outgoing people. So I think working from home and things like that, of course, give us the challenges, but also push us to be different and be creative. Especially, I really enjoy. I don't enjoy COVID-19, but I actually enjoy during the lockdown where a lot of brands are just being healthy, competitive in a healthy environment where they're trying to catch everyone's attention, right? How to be different in terms of like social media. I know like for Burger Lab, you guys did something different. So it's very exciting to be part of the brands, to be one of it. So I think for Nestle, we also try to do something different and try to engage with things and also people that are relevant during that period of time. So I think it's quite a interesting journey, and
Definitely.
I really enjoy it to be different, you know, in terms of how we market our food, especially for Nestle, during this period of time.
I will be asking that question to the three of you a little bit later as we end everything, but in the spirit of time, some questions are coming in. Noel, there's a question here for you from AS Azhar. Many young talents are looking to start their own business during the pandemic. What's your tips for youngsters thinking about this aspiration? And just look at the camera when you answer.
Okay, to start a business, of course, you need to first dream big, and also like, I think, list down your dreams, your plans, and plan it out carefully. Of course, think carefully and prepare yourself. It's not an easy journey. Maybe you look at it as like, you know, you want to be this person, but actually the journey is tough. And one more thing, enjoy that journey.
Okay.
It will go
Thank you for
up,
saying
it will
that.
go down,
Yeah.
but enjoy every moment. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And AS also has a question for Renyu. I mean, what inspires you, or where do you get your ideas from in terms of innovation to do different things in terms of your burgers and flavors? Because it's a very competitive market you're in, you know?
Well, when we first started, it was me and Changming, my other partner. We are known to have weird taste buds. For example, I have one burger called The Hangover.
Okay.
And it's basically beef patty, mushroom, hash brown, and maple syrup.
All the healthy stuff, yes.
All the
Okay.
healthy stuff. But this idea was actually born out of McDonald's, where back in the days, you know, I would go party all night, and then at 4 a.m. I'll end up in McDonald's, and then I'll get a sausage McMuffin, I'll slide in that hash brown, and I'll steal my friend's pancake syrup, I'll pour it in there. And everyone during that time would laugh at me and go like, oh my God, that's disgusting, you know, salty and sweet don't go together. It is many years back, right? But now, you know, we talk about salted caramel, sweet and, you know, a combination of flavors. So I was way ahead of my time. So when we started...
The taste buds are not that weird, yeah.
So when we first started, I was like, yeah, I'm going to show this guys. I'm going to put it on my menu. And we did, and it's quite a well-received product. And for those that are wondering why it's called a hangover, now you know.
You said, now I know. I'll be looking at maple syrup and hash browns very differently from now on. A question from Raisa, who has a question for Jen. The content creating industry is a very competitive one. Oh yeah. What's your advice for future and aspiring content creators?
Do it because you love it. If you're doing it for the likes, for the following, for free stuff, then don't do it because it won't last. The truth is, a lot of people forget that when people are following you is because they're aspiring to be you, or they like your content. So you have to maintain that authenticity and not lose that. So if you do not focus on that and you're focusing on, as you mentioned, the end product, that becomes a problem, because if you don't get the end product, you feel like, oh, this is not for me. Then you won't last. So in my opinion is do it because you love it, because at the end of it, you don't earn much, but once you post that video, you just smile to yourself and you watch your video for like 10 times yourself. Just that 10 views is all yourself.
Yeah.
That's because you love it. So that's my advice.
So watch yourself. No, that's a good one. Okay. A question from Justin Ho. This is to everybody on the panel, and I'll start with you, Kailin.
Yeah.
As someone who created their own career, how did you identify the opportunities and create, well, a product, which is in your case yourself,
Sure.
or content to suit your target market? In your case, it's a bit different because you're working for someone, but
Correct.
at the end of the day, a company like Nestle has 1,000,001 choices,
Yeah.
but they selected you.
Sure.
So what was your proposition to them? What was your unique selling point to them to take you versus the 1,000,001 other people
Sure.
out there?
I think echo to what Jen mentioned, like be yourself. But let's say, I mean, sometimes I will be lazy also, but don't be lazy at work. When I say be yourself,
Lazy,
is,
beep. Yeah, okay.
but I say like be yourself is, I believe that everyone has their own strength. I guess for me, I mean, of course, very happy that Nestle picked me, but there must be something that why the company picks you, or why your boss want to promote you, or why are you enjoying, or why are you where you are right now. So I think for myself, of course, be yourself. What we mentioned earlier, be positive, and also be very genuine. I feel like right now this world is very complex, right? And to come across people who are very genuine is very difficult. Of course, in a corporate, a lot of people will say like, oh, you know, corporate is a dog-eat-dog. You know, I don't like you, then I put you under the bus. But actually, I would say
I don't like that too. Yes.
yeah, but of course, you will meet situation like this. But I would say, luckily for me, I would say this is not a promotion like for Nestle or what, but I would say the people that I meet across my journey in Nestle for the past 5 years has been really good, genuine people who wanted to help you and wanted to see you to be successful, not people who are jealous of over your success. So I would say be genuine, be yourself, and also always be there when people need you. Help people who needs your help, and also lastly, teamwork is also very important, especially during this period of time. So. Yeah.
If I could just encourage everybody, I mean, your great answer, just keep it a bit crisper, so we can just, because the questions are coming in thick and fast. So, being the change, I mean, being different.
Being different. I want to add to the last question just now. I think it is important to have a story to tell, your story.
Product story.
So that will separate your brand from other brands, competitors. So yeah, you need to see potential in your brand or in yourself. And also have find a story. Different story has like different experience to tell people. So yeah, every time I do something or I create a collection, it always has a story behind it. So that's what makes it interesting, and people would want to listen and also maybe inspired by that story. So yeah, every clothes that we make always has a story behind it. The prints, I think that what makes Mimpi Kita different from other brands. And also once in business, to sustain is another thing. That is the most important. So that's why the story you tell, how significant your story and how your brand is different from other brands is so important. So create your own identity and not be same like other people. So yeah, your story is important.
Have to be different.
Yeah, your
and
identity is yes.
Okay, great. No, I mean you both are great stories. And what I mean, Rennie?
I think as a young, and I assume we're talking to a lot of young people in that 20 plus minus age group. To be different, number one, you have to understand that you might be at a stage in your life where you don't have too much story to tell yet, right? And too many times we have this story that we tell younger people that, hey, go out there, do what you want, be your own entrepreneur, which I think is great. But for the majority, I think go out there and gain experience. Work with different companies, work with different bosses. Good bosses have something to teach you, bad bosses will teach you things as well. And through that personal experience, right, in your 20s to 30s, it's not time, to me, it's not a time to start a business. It's the time to use other people's money to learn, to grow, right? And in that environment, develop your own persona. By the time you're 30, you're right old age of, closer to 30, you have this wealth of experience that you are able to digest and spew out as your own idea. I'm not saying steal ideas from other people, but you need those experiences. Too many times people don't have the experience. And I think a lot of us here can be where we are today because we did go out there, we did work for other people, and in that process, we define ourselves, we find ourselves. That's how I define being different. You got to go out there and see what the world is like first.
Experience it before you experience it yourself. Nice. Jen?
So 2 things I'm going to share real quick. Okay, we're going to keep it snappy. So the number one is I totally 100% agree with what you just said.
You can't disagree,
No,
it's okay.
I 100% agree because I used to be a shampoo girl Like salon, I used to be a shampoo girl. I used to work in telemarketing sales.
Same.
I did that because I wanted to know if I would hate it and I would come home, will I cry to myself? I did. And I made that I didn't make that assumption, I lived it. So with all these experiences, it helped me right now create my characters as well. So I have Auntie Xiao, who is like, you know, she's really like that. And then you have the Michelle, who's like really, like this is based on observations. This is from experience. And so if you want to be different, you really need to have that experience because you know what sets you apart. Now the second thing I'm going to share is my Instagram, what makes me different from others. So 4 years ago when I was beginning my journey, I remember going to the Explore page on Instagram. It's filled with beautiful, beautiful women, flawless, beautiful filter, don't know what filter, no filter, I don't know. But then I asked myself, I cannot compare to them. What am I compared to them? And I realized there's this one quality that I have, and that is shamelessness. I'm not afraid to be silly. I'm not afraid to show a little character, show a little pizzazz, and that kind of sparked this joy of, sparked this joy, literally, sparked joy of creating these personas, all these different personas. So that is how I started like being different. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, we've only got 2 questions left because we've only got about another 8 minutes to go. I'm going to tell you the last question first before answering another question first, because it's going to take you some time to think about it. So like I did with the previous panel, I want you to think about one word so we can hashtag it. It can be 2, but if you can be creative and be 1, because in terms of what's your advice for our viewers out there in terms of the power of the youth, in terms of what should they do to find the power of the youth to energize their career and maybe entrepreneurial aspirations? One word, yeah? It's not easy. It may sound like an easy question, but it's not easy to answer. But I've got the easiest job in the world. I just get to ask the questions. So you have to answer them. But in terms of the question I want to ask before I get to that question, and I'll stick with you, Jen, on this one. In terms of how do you reinvent yourself, not based on you and COVID? Because because it is tough out there.
Okay,
it's tough out there for every industry.
I do want to talk a little bit about MCO, the start of MCO.
You do or you don't?
I do.
Okay, please.
I want to touch on that first.
Okay.
So the first week, I relapsed. I went into depression again, and it was like the signs. I knew I was going through that emotionally, so I gave myself that time, that one whole week, allow myself to go through whatever I had to go through. And then what changed, what brought me out into the light was doing live streams. Every single day I was doing live streams non-stop. So for 50 days I would interview, just like you interview 50 different people every single day, and I would create an hour-long content every single day, non-stop, Monday to Sunday, back to Monday to Sunday. And with that wealth of experience, coming into RMCO, I did a lot of live streams for brands. Because of that training, because I took the time, I saw the potential in live streams, I went through all of that, and then now I could host a show. I could host a 1-hour show, no script, and I can still try to make that work. So my point here is I'm not trying to like flex, but I'm trying to say that, you know, when you are going through that down, let yourself go through that down. And then at that moment that you are inspired by something, run with it. Because you'll never know what will happen. And just like my career, I never know what will happen. So that is, in my opinion, how when there's a difficult situation, how I got myself out of it. And how I took risk.
And you were honest with yourself about it, so
Yeah.
which is really, really good.
Exactly.
It's not easy to admit that. So thank you for admitting that and sharing that with us. Renyi?
Sorry, what's the question again?
Very much in terms of reinventing yourself in your business in the time of COVID.
All right. So
And try to keep it as tight as possible. Yeah.
So we basically
Please.
did everything that we didn't dare do before. Everything that we felt we needed to be at 100% before we roll out a campaign or roll out a new menu. We said, you know what? If it's at 80%, go for it. Because we don't know if it's going to work, but we don't know until we try. And because during MCO period, people were a lot more forgiving. So now that we are towards the end of RMCO, hopefully, you know, it'll be RMCO, whatever that may be, we actually have 5 new verticals that we're exploring that are generating new revenues for the business. So the conclusion is that when you don't know what to do, right, try anything and everything.
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, Nur?
During MCO, I think.
And don't forget, we are still in the process
Yeah,
of an
yeah,
MCO.
yeah.
It's not over completely. Yeah, I wish it was.
Actually,
Yeah.
we had a tough time, 2019. So 2020 was a hopeful year for me when we started 2020. So when COVID happens, of course, it puts me down. But I thank God for support system. Yes, and during MCO also is the biggest production that we spend on. So it's Raya. So I spent a lot of money. I'm so hopeful for this year. So we spent a lot of money, a lot of bulk of money for Raya. So at the back of our mind is to sell, but of course we have to be sensitive towards customers, because this is the time when they don't want to shop. They want you to be sensitive and to care for them. So we decided to create these MK shares where we share, instead of selling things, selling, market, we try to understand, we try to make our customers happy. So we created like Jen live session every week. We created that live session, and also not to talk much about selling stuff. So we try to be sensitive and care for people. So instead of selling, so yeah, we did that. So I think that catches attention as well.
Kind of, I'm going to ask you a different question,
Sure.
because you sort of answered the Nestle
Okay.
way
Yeah.
in a previous
Sure.
question, and Su Yen, your colleague, answered that as well in the previous session. So your question is from a person called Aina Najwa. So question specifically to
Sure.
you. What advice or tips could you share to those who would like to participate in the Nestle apprenticeship program in terms of career advancement, and also the obstacles that you faced in your career as well, and how to mitigate that? Make sense?
I'll keep it short, yeah.
Please.
So definitely Nestle has a lot of programs that you can apply to, but I think, of course, a lot of people will say like, Nestle has a lot of interviews and it's tough and things like that. But I would say most importantly is, when you go for interviews, remember to do your homework, and also, I think most of the graduate nowadays, one of the challenges they have is how to present themselves, right? Not to say like oversell yourself, but you need to kind of prepare and know how to be differentiated as compared to the other interviewees. Simple question or basic things that you need to know how to like present yourself. So that's very important. And also, secondly, also do homework about the company that you're applying to is very, very important. Or go back to the basics, yeah. So yeah, that's my advice to people who want to apply to the program.
Well done. So the one word hashtag answer how to be different and how to just be better than everybody else, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's working for someone, in terms of the energy and the ethos of the power of youth to make dreams and career aspirations or entrepreneurial aspirations happen. Jen is thinking about it, but Jen, I'm putting you on the spot first because you're so creative, because you like to press YouTube 10 times to watch yourself
Hashtag
first.
yes. That's it.
Hashtag
Short
yes.
and simple.
Short and simple. Okay, Renyi?
Empathy.
Can you elaborate? Empathy?
I think that the world that we live in right now sometimes do lack a lot of empathy, whereby we don't try to put ourselves in someone else's shoe. They say haters gonna hate, but the problem is, why is there so many haters?
Okay.
I think we live in a world where people can get away with a lot of things, saying things online without having repercussion.
Nice.
And because it becomes so common, it's normalized. And when it's normalized, that becomes a problem. So
Sure.
I feel that there must be emphasis on empathy, trying to put yourself in someone else's shoe. And as an entrepreneur, if you're able to have that empathy, you build a better business as well.
Great. Nora? Quickly?
Opportunities?
Opportunities with an S. And Helen?
Adapt,
Okay.
because COVID-19 is a lot of things has happened. No, not just personally at work. A lot of us, we are adapting right now. So adapt, yeah.
Okay, so that is the key learnings for today. Empathy, hashtag empathy yes, empathy opportunities, and empathy adapt. Thank you everyone for being part of this very, very wonderful session, the power of youth, and hashtag, the power of youth to achieve your dreams, whether it's as an entrepreneur or as an employee working in a very, very good company. And may all your dreams come true. Just a few announcements before we end our session today. Thank you to our panel. You've been wonderful. Round of applause for all of you. Come on. Pop, 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 pop. Okay. We will be announcing the winners of the quiz session a bit later, and we will reach out to you the organizers will reach out to you in terms of who won. But for the rest, do not sweat, as the first 200 to tune in and stay on the session will stand a chance to win some exciting giveaways. So look out from an email for our organizers. It's not spam mail, it's good mail that might win you a prize. So thank you very much, everyone. My name is Ben Ibrahim. Thank you to the panel. Before we go, please have a look and stay tuned to this very short video.
In conjunction with International Youth Day, we asked youth today, what made you take your first steps? And here's what they said.
For me, opportunities are like sunshine. You wait too long, you miss them. This is why I grabbed this chance to shine and to realize my potential.
I started with an open mind, knowing there will be obstacles along the way. But I believe these are the things that will unlock your inner potential.
Simply because I believe in my potential and that I can have a chance to grow.
I want to be recognized, valued, and respected.
My first step was scary, but then I realized there is no other perfect time than now.
What's fun for me is to try new things and push myself. So if you don't try new things, you will never know what's for you. So trust yourself.
It's all about how you perceive things positive, and the ups will be more frequent.
Because when you take your first steps, you will see the power of potential. So are you ready to find your potential?
Yes.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Let's do this.
Absolutely.
Just go for it.
I'm ready. Are you?
We at Nestle support young people to develop their full potential. This is part of our DNA. Everybody has potential, and we are ready to welcome you. Are you ready to join? Everything worthwhile takes courage and resilience, especially during the current times. But now it's the time for you to take the first step and to unleash the power within you. Happy International Youth Day. Terima kasih.
In conjunction with International Youth Day, we asked youth today, what made you take your first steps? And here's what they said.
For me, opportunities are like sunshine. You wait too long, you miss them. This is why I grabbed this chance to shine and to realize my potential.
I started with an open mind, knowing there will be obstacles along the way. But I believe these are the things that will unlock your inner potential.
Simply because I believe in my potential and that I can have a chance to grow.
I want to be recognized, valued, and respected.
My first step was scary, but then I realized there is no other perfect time than now.
What's fun for me is to try new things and push myself. So if you don't try new things, you will never know what's for you. So trust yourself.
It's all about how you perceive things positive, and the ups will be more frequent.
Because when you take your first steps, you will see the power of potential. So are you ready to find your potential?
Yes.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Let's do this.
Absolutely.
Just go for it.
I'm ready. Are you?
We at Nestle support young people to develop their full potential. This is part of our DNA. Everybody has potential, and we are ready to welcome you. Are you ready to join? Everything worthwhile takes courage and resilience, especially during the current times. But now it's the time for you to take the first step and to unleash the power within you. Happy International Youth Day. Terima kasih.